Ascension is speeding up. Everything is amplified right now. That's the direct result of two things: the solar storms, the solar activity, and the rods of light, corridors of light, letting in more of the organic universe. Can you sense it? Do you get that feeling? You know, that antsy kind of feeling when you know that something's about to happen, you're on the brink of change, you're there on the precipice, and then it's almost like there's nothing happening, but at the same time, everything is happening, and it's very hard to make sense of. The world is changing, but it's not changing in the way that we expect it to. It's not changing out there. It's not supposed to. It's changing in here. It's meant to, because this is how we transform not just ourselves, but the world that we live in. We grew up to a false matrix, and the false matrix was a world that had us so hypnotized and blinded to who we were. So who are we? We are godlike beings. In our essence, we are created beings made of love. And we came to this planet into the illusion of forgetfulness, knowing that when we would wake up, when our senses would awaken, and yes, I'm going to talk about senses awakening in a little bit and about why you're so sensitive right now, because this is happening. Imagine that there is this giant inside of you, and I don't mean a literal giant, I mean a being of light, an energetic masterpiece that can only be birthed from within you. And when that happens, the walls of the false matrix crumble. And when the walls of the false matrix crumble, they reveal what was always there, which is the organic universe. We always think, oh, we're going to go away from here. Oh, we're going to go to New Earth, or we're going to go out of the false matrix. No, we're going to collapse the false matrix from within, which is why we feel jumbled up on the inside and so triggered and so everything all at once. The reason that we're feeling that is because there is a collapse. But as the collapse occurs inwardly, we see it externally. This is the crazy part. We see the external collapse. We can see how everything is falling apart. Sometimes it's people that we love. Sometimes it's systems. Sometimes it's belief systems. Sometimes it's just the old. We see all of this changing in front of our eyes, falling apart in front of our eyes. Then we see people arguing. And one of the reasons why people argue a lot at times of uncertainty is because they want to change the external world. They want to take that chaos and make it calm. They want to take that chaos and make it the known. Instead of realizing you can do everything and anything to that external world, it does not change your internal world. It's the other way around. Your internal world is the message and the signal that gets sent into reality. This is what I meant earlier when I said there is this giant within you who is a masterful being that is emerging right now. We have solar activity and it's incoming. You guys, we're on the precipice of not just a few more solar storms, expect a couple more X-class flares. This is going to intensify. And every time it does, think of it like this. Think of this burst of light that comes from the sun, and then think of something in you that answers. But you don't hear the yes, you don't hear the words, you don't have the thoughts. Your intellect cannot keep up with this. And your intellect is used to running the show because in the false matrix, that's how it worked. The false matrix was a prison of the mind. It was where we all got locked into the mental realm. We could only think and process our way through feelings, through emotions, through life, through decisions, by navigating the mental realm. The false matrix exists, and it always has, outside of the mental realm. And that's why we don't go somewhere else. We collapse that which bound us to the imprisonment of the false matrix, collapsing the false matrix with it, returning to our wholeness, where we are an integrated unit of mental, emotional, physical, energetic, spiritual, multidimensional allness. We step back into the wholeness of who we are. So we're collapsing this very small space because we were trapped in a very small space, and we're about to emerge into a very vast world. But let me just stop there on that word, we're about to. I put out videos quite often, well, pretty much every day. So by the way, you guys, if you don't follow me on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook, that's where I put out daily videos, sometimes 3-4 videos a day. And these are short form videos and they're just little snippets of what's going on. So do follow me there. I am Kerry K. That's my handle on all social media. People often say, but it hasn't happened yet. Ascension should have happened by now. So clearly it's not going to happen. It didn't happen this morning over my breakfast, so obviously it's been called off. Ascension is an ongoing event, and it started many generations before you were even born. It started by tapping away the genetic ancestral lineage and moving it into the potential for higher alignment. You then stepped into this world and it carried on every day. It amplifies. Listen, there's something I have to tell you. Ascension is speeding up. On that note, Ascension is speeding up. Can you feel it? And I pause here because I want you to drop into your world inside here and spend a lot of time in the world inside here, because this is the world outside of the false matrix. Bring your awareness into this world that exists already outside of the false matrix and just feel. Dare to get in here and to feel, ooh, yes, everything is shifting. And that's a beautiful thing. It is. As the solar flares come, light from the sun comes, awakens the light from within. This inner giant begins to emerge, preparing you to walk into a world that is massive, a world that is vast. Because remember, we've been living in this very contained space. So that means potentials and possibilities are going to start opening up. And there's something I have always said about humanity, and that is we say words like, oh, I want freedom. Freedom, yeah, give me freedom. We're petrified of that. We are so inherently scared of freedom. One of the many things that I used to do before I started making YouTube videos was I used to take people out on dolphin swims. And it was so beautiful to watch people experiencing themselves in a pod of wild dolphins. One of the things that I would see time and time again is how people would change the moment they lost sight of the horizon. So we'd go out to sea on a boat while dolphin swims, and there's something that happens when you can no longer see the horizon. You're a little bit disorientated now, and you're going, ooh, kind of like which way is home, which way is the shoreline? And you would think that people would go, wide open expanse, how beautiful. No, this is where people started realizing I'm not in control, and they started getting scared, panicky, freaking out, and needing to see the shoreline. And as soon as people saw the shoreline again, in other words, we're very accustomed to needing boundaries. That's why boundaries has become such a buzzword recently. We like to feel our own boundaries because we've been boundaried, we've been imprisoned. And then we defend our imprisonment in ways that are too numerous to even go into in this video. If you want to, by the way, work with me at a deeper level, join the Plasma Light Tribe. That's where I meet with you every week, an hour and a half, sometimes much more, and we go deep, much deeper than what I can offer you here. So if that calls to you, then check out my website, kerryk.com, and I'll meet you there every Friday. The Ascension energies, they were always playing in the background. They were always melting the fabric of the false matrix. This is not new, but man, it's amplified. Since the last solar flares that we had, remember what I said, there's more incoming. Since the last solar flares that we've had, there have been corridors of light opened upon this planet. Yeah, that's an important piece of information. Corridors of light. I've spoken before about rods of light. The rods of light became bigger. And as these rods of light became bigger, I will link the rods of light video for you, by the way, but just a very quick catch up. Rods of light, these are almost like acupuncture needles all around our planet. They've been here for, a good couple of months, probably, I'm guessing more than a year right now. And these rods of light have been anchoring cosmic energy down into the core of the planet, where it's calibrated, integrated, merged with the essence of our earth consciousness, and then shot back up to the surface because it's easier then for us to integrate, and then we don't fry our circuitry when we interact with these cosmic light codes. That's going on. But these rods of light have gotten so much bigger that now they're corridors of light, and what they're doing is they are holding open the etheric world around us, the energetic space around us, allowing in more of the organic universe, allowing more. So it's just constantly streaming in. If that weren't there and didn't happen, we would only get bursts of light when we have solar flares. So right now what's happening is, and that's why I said Ascension has just sped up, because we have this ongoing drip, drip, drip funneling in of cosmic light. Yes, it does intensify when there is a solar flare. And have you noticed the sensitivity within you? Where is it? What is raw and sensitive in you? For me personally, my hearing. Oh my gosh, I don't want to be around sound. Noise is so loud. It's all too much. And I'm loving, I've always have though. This is not so new. I just love being without lights. I love being in dark spaces. Yes, there's a time to sit out in the sun and enjoy the sunlight and really feel it streaming in. But there's also a time to just enjoy the absence of light and the peace that you can feel there. So check for you where there's overwhelm of senses, where there's a bombardment, a feeling of being invaded or bombarded from the outside. Let me know in the comments. Because also when you do that, when you share your world in the comments and people read it, they go, oh, I'm not alone. And I want you to know that. I want you to know. That's why I'm making these videos, so that you understand I'm not alone as I go through this. I'm aided, I'm held, I'm supported, because guys, we're all walking each other home. Back to that sensitivity, light codes come streaming in. Oh, and it amplifies your senses. And then you start thinking, when I was a baby and I came into this world, can you imagine how bright the light was, you guys? Can you imagine how loud the sound was? And by the way, I remember that. I remember being born. I remember before I was born. I remember dropping into my mother's womb. So I remember this. I don't know if any of you guys do. I know it's not a usual memory to have. But as you emerge into a new frequency, your senses are overwhelmed. Now what's happening is we're beginning to experience the first light and the first rays of the new world. They're soaking in, they're streaming in. And so it's like seeing light for the first time. It's very bright. It's like hearing noise for the first time. It's very loud. You have a new body birthing within you, and it looks like nothing's happening. That pretty much sums up what's going on right now. Everything's changing, but at the external world, it doesn't look like it is, because you're not meant to be there at the external. You're meant to be fully involved here at the internal level, coming alive in a whole new way. Now, here's something else I want to talk to you about. Senses. I said your senses are becoming more sensitive. You will experience that overwhelm and the bombardment, right? But look at the weather. I have shared this with you guys many, many, many times, and I will not stop because I'm trying to prepare you. The weather is about to go crazy, meaning, how best can I put this? The storms are going to be stormier, and the rain is going to become rainier. And where there's heat, it's going to become hotter. And where there's cold, it's going to become colder. Where there's wind, it's going to become gale force. In other words, everything, it's not just your feelings that are more sensitive. It's not just your senses that are more sensitized. Everything is amplified right now. That's the direct result of two things: the solar storms, the solar activity, and the rods of light, corridors of light, letting in more of the organic universe. So what we're seeing is a quicker collapsing of the false matrix. And it's got to collapse from within you. So don't hold on. There are places that you can self-sabotage and you won't even know it. Self-sabotage is essentially the abuse of self, and you don't know it, you don't see it. It's so amazing. People always tell me about this narcissist called me that and did this and did that and and they get, really invested in the mistreatment of themselves by others. I'd love for you instead to draw your attention to the ways and the places where you have abused yourself, Self-betrayal, self-punishment, self-sabotage, which is self-sabotage, is nothing more than not being able to accept goodness in your world. Because we grew up to notions of a punishing God, we grew up to notions of a punishing universe, and that the world was cruel, and so we began to treat ourselves in that same way, almost as if we were emulating the behavior that we kept hearing about. We kept hearing this was the fabric of not just God, but the world that we lived in. So, of course, that's how we kind of blindly, unconsciously continued being a part of creation, not realizing that we were continuing to be a part of uncreation, in other words, being our own demise. So watch out for places where you may go into self-sabotage. Also, watch out for places where you may go into a dilution of your energy by projecting yourself at the external world and desiring their change. You guys, I recently put up a post. You can go read it. It's in my YouTube community section. And I recently put up a post. You'll just go back a couple posts to find it, where I spoke about calling people out. And I didn't call anybody out. I just said, there's this energy of calling people out. And I gave an example of it and why it's just a waste, a monumental waste of your time. And what was crazy is there were people and I knew it was going to happen. There were people in the comment section going, Carrie, you're a hypocrite because you just called someone out about calling someone out. And somebody said, so when does this end? You've called somebody out, which again, I really didn't do. I simply said, this is what calling people out looks like. And this is why it's not effective. And this is what you can do instead. And the person asked me the question, when's it all going to end? Because look at you, you're perpetuating the cycle. And I didn't answer because there's no point answering something like that. But I just want to share with you guys that that's a dilution of power. Trying to change the external is a dilution of your power. That's an overspill that we cannot afford right now. So bring your energy backwards. And by the way, if you wanted an answer to that question, if I made you think, oh yeah, so when does that cycle end? The answer is when you stop making other people wrong. That's it. And we made other people wrong because that's a ploy of the ego. We used to use making others wrong in order to make ourselves feel right. That's just the way of it, the false matrix. It doesn't make you a bad person if you employed those methods. There is one way to navigate the world right now. And I'm going to give you 3 words that are going to show you how. But it's not just saying the 3 words that's going to do it. There's an action to follow these 3 words. Let love in. Let love in. Let love in. Because this is you letting in those corridors of light into your own body when you let love in. Then you melt the false matrix from within when you let love in. Then you birth that new light being from within you, which is not new, it's the true you that you've always been. Then you allow that to emerge. And then at the same time, you dissolve the ego, the pain, the trauma. The recent call that I did for my online community, that was call 174. Go and replay that to learn the fine art of stepping into the pause, of letting love in, of working in heightened states of being, and just learning what it is to expose your body to these higher frequencies, to be present with them, to allow them to work through you and to work with you. From my heart, all the way to yours. Please share this video with your friends. Speak to me in the comments below. Drop a like because all of this really supports more people, hopefully, receiving access to this content. Speak to you really soon. There's a video over here which I'm going to leave for you that details a little bit more about Ascension. I'm going to start talking more about this because I feel like we need to talk more about what happens at the Ascension point. Bye-bye for now.